is for the people of Haiti. Let's see what they have endured recently. A hurricane, a tropical storm, a flood, gang violence, a presidential assassination, and now flooding, and of course we can't forget COVID. To these brave people who are struggling simply to survive in the most primitive way, we remember them. And finally, a final stone for all of the unspoken joys and concerns that are in our hearts.
Well, good morning. I'm sorry to say we have officially run out of credos for our time for all ages, so you're stuck with me again. Sorry about that. That being said, today a theme that felt very appropriate, very close to home: the concept of mystery. Maybe this is just me, but the first place I went in my head when I thought about mystery was like mystery novels, like mystery as a genre. I've actually never been like a huge fan of them myself. Like, this is not a big part of my life. I know some people who are absolutely obsessed with this genre of storytelling. Like, I know people who consume mystery novels like by the stack. I mean, that is their like base level consumption of mystery stories. And beyond that, I mean, I'm sure we all know somebody in our lives for whom they don't so much have a television as they have a Law and Order machine. And like, that's it. That's the whole story. Just Law and Order. And I say all of that because I know there are people for whom this is a real serious genre, and not one I have the same appreciation for. But when I was a kid, I did really love Encyclopedia Brown, the kids' mystery series. I'd say it was actually like the first real series of books where I felt like I could kind of not only enjoy them on my level, but they were sort of mine to enjoy. They were so quaint and inviting. If you've ever read the stories, they all sort of had the same kind of motif at the beginning. It described the little small town Encyclopedia Brown lived in, the sort of fantasy of America and this smart young kid who helped solve all these mysteries. Of course, part of what's comforting about Encyclopedia Brown is what's really comforting about all the mystery stories is that there's something that makes you feel good about the world when you're presented with a problem that gets solved, right? Now, I read these books a lot when I was young, and I read them so much that after a while, they didn't work as mystery stories anymore because I knew what was happening in them so well. It's like I'd wrung out all there was in those books. And what I realized at that point was that these really weren't mystery stories. They were more like anti-mystery stories. The whole idea wasn't to sit with uncertainty, it was to answer the riddle. And with Encyclopedia Brown, of course, it's even more direct than that. If you've never actually read, I purchased a few. These are new editions. I used to have the old hardcovers with like terrible illustrations on the front. But you read through these, and the idea is that you're getting through some story. Something's gone missing, or something was broken, or something was stolen, and you get to the end of the story, and Encyclopedia Brown asks some kind of a leading question that tells you he's figured it out, and then it says at the bottom of the page, "What did Encyclopedia Brown know that no one else did? Turn to page 112 for the answer." And you flip all the pages to the back, and then you read it, and it's like, "Oh, she said Tuesday when there was no Tuesday in May," or something like that. It's always a small contradiction, some little thing. It's always about people being liars, incidentally. But at the same time, that's one of the ways I learned that actually stopping to look for the answers is a way of avoiding the important discomfort of living with unanswerable questions. Answers are so final, and solutions are so often conclusions. But a mystery goes on and on and on and on. There's a real grace in that kind of uncertainty. So from now on, I'm going to try to enjoy the story while it's being told. I'm going to enjoy the characters. I'm going to enjoy the quaint town. And I'm going to do my best to not turn to the end of the pages of life, to the back, to find out the answer. I think it's better to live just one page at a time.
So, I mean, I do like mysteries. Encyclopedia Brown, it's not my favorite mystery now, but it's more or less at my level. And so I was glad that Alan gave Encyclopedia Brown that plug, because now Encyclopedia Brown, in your eyes, has a certain degree of respectability. And I feel safe in carrying it around and not having people look at me and wondering, look what he's reading. So, if I remember correctly, which is never certain, I believe it was the summer of 1963. I was getting ready to enter my senior year in high school in the little burg where I grew up. When I entered the barber shop, of course, you have to sort of cut through the smoke. But Nubs was busy lighting his second unfiltered Camel cigarette. I don't know if you know this, but Nubs liked to keep two lit at the same time. One he kept in his hand while he cut your hair, and the second he kept in an ashtray by the cash register when he took your money. And just as Nubs was about to take the electric clippers to my crew cut, Reverend Johnny Ray Smith, whom we may not have met yet, blew in the front door like a slight breeze from a landfill. Now, Reverend Johnny Ray was the pastor and spiritual director emeritus of the Lancaster Holiness Temple. He was also, in case you're wondering, the sole proprietor of Johnny Ray's exotic animals located out on the highway near the road to perdition. This was a handy calling for Reverend Johnny Ray because he used some of his pets in the Wednesday night ecstatic service at the Holiness Temple. Perhaps some of the faithful felt that this would be a deterrent to membership, but the Reverend Johnny Ray was a snake handler with the best of them. Reverend Johnny Ray, hello, Nubs. God sends his greetings to you. Nubs responded, oh yeah? Well, did God tell you who's going to win tonight's doubleheader between the Braves and the Dodgers? Reverend Johnny Ray, really, Nubs, why don't you take God seriously? Nubs responds, Johnny Ray, I take God seriously. It is you whom I do not take seriously. Reverend Johnny Ray, God sends messages to his faithful like me. To others like you, I am certain that God is a mystery. Nubs, well, Johnny Ray, I suspect that most of life is a mystery to you. Now, Reverend Johnny Ray and Nubs exchanged more pleasantries, but because this is a family show, we will cut right to the end. Reverend Johnny Ray, Nubs, you are a heathen. Nubs, yes, and proudly so. Sit down and be quiet. After Weber here, I'll cut your hair. Your hair's present length and condition reminds me a little bit of Boris Karloff in Son of Frankenstein. While Johnny Ray lapsed into a welcome silence, Nubs continued. I don't know whether or not there is a God, Reverend Johnny Ray, and frankly, neither do you. Reverend Johnny Ray was about to respond, but Nubs brandished a straight-edge razor in honor of my first shave, and the good man at the cloth, eyeing the blade, wisely closed his mouth for a second time, thinking that discretion was the better part of valor, which in this case it was. I have often thought about this exchange between Reverend Johnny Ray and Nubs. Available on the internet is the bumper sticker, which proudly states, militant agnostic. I don't know, and neither do you. For years, several years, I had this bumper sticker on my old Toyota. When it went to the junkyard, so did the bumper sticker. What can we learn from Nubs and Reverend Johnny Ray that can help us this morning? Well, faith and trust are not the same as knowing something to be true based upon available evidence. And while reason and science are ways of knowing, faith and trust are ways of being. Faith is, first and foremost, not a belief in a mysterious God, but rather a set of feelings about others and about the natural world. It's hard for me to remember them, and I might not succeed this morning, but I think that there are 4 elements to this. 1, the key element of faith or trust is loving to our full potential. This is not love in the abstract. I'm in love with humanity. I love all people. I never met a man I didn't like, said Will Rogers. No, this is about love in the concrete, love of a person, a particular person. Second, not only do we have to love up to our full potential, but that love becomes an act of generosity, of reaching out. Because love is, at bottom, not a feeling, it's a behavior. And we must be generous with others. And going back to our service of 2 weeks ago, and quoting Nubs, love means standing up for the little guy. A third element might be inspiration. Inspiration is the mental and emotional stimulation we get from something or someone. In the words of Dorothy Day of the Catholic Worker Movement, we cannot live, she writes, without the inspiration to reach out and grasp the hand of another. Then we are whole. A final element is our willingness to surround ourselves with people we admire. As I scan the congregation today, I am struck by the feeling that a cornerstone of the beloved community we seek to build is rubbing shoulders with those we admire. Proximity, physical proximity, builds love and inspiration within us. So perhaps when Nubbs says, I don't know, and you don't know either, he could be saying this. Whether you believe in a personal God, or in the natural world, or in science, or in some combination of these, there is an element of mystery or unknowability in each. What matters is how we prepare ourselves, perhaps with love, inspiration, caring, and of course, a leap of faith. So may it be. Amen. This morning's offering goes to preterm, the Women's Health Clinic. Preterm has a full range of abortion and reproductive health services for women in Cleveland, and especially poor women. Located in Shaker Square on Cleveland's east side, Preterm is a 501c3 serving women and their families since 1974. Please give generously, but of course within your means. Thank you. in keeping with the fact that I typed the order of service this morning, we will now move to our closing hymn, which is printed in your order of service, or if you happen to carry a copy of the hymnal in your purse, it would be number 1020.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know it, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woya-ya, 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 woya-ya. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know it is, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woya-ya, 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 woya-ya. Woya-ya-ya-ya-ya, 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 woya-ya-ya-ya-ya.
I invite you all to be seated. We continue with our COVID covenant this morning. A reminder, we join in these words because we are in still unprecedented times that face us with challenges we've still wrestle with and still are trying to respond to. The best that we can do, the very best that we can do, is to be conscientious and considerate in our beloved community, to be aware of all of those around us and how important their safety and their comfort is as we gather. So I invite you to join me in these words. In beloved community, we welcome everyone, absolutely everyone, into this space of worship and fellowship. In this time of pandemic, we covenant to respect one another by considering the safety and comfort of others before ourselves, to respect the policies our leadership has established, and to take all of our steps with one another with grace and understanding as we work to make this a truly safe place for all people.
And for our closing words, I return to the words of Dorothy Day. She writes, "People say that what is the sense of our small efforts? They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time and then take one step at a time. A pebble that we throw into a pond causes ripples that go out in all directions. Each one of our thoughts, our words, and our deeds is like that. No one has the right to sit down and feel hopeless. There is simply too damn much work to do. Peace be with you. Shabbat Shalom."
Morning. Good morning.